This episode is sponsored by LexisNexis, supporting information professionals as leaders in AI innovation. Explore resources and tools designed specifically for your role at lexisnexis.com/community/infopro and connect with them at AALL this summer in Cleveland. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to All In, the podcast where we explore the people, ideas, and leadership shaping the future of the American Association of Law Libraries.
Hi, everyone. I am Andre Davison.
And I'm Katie Brown. And Andre, I have to say, episode 3, we're already here. And I do feel like we're starting to hit our stride.
I know, Katie. I feel like we've officially moved past the figuring out where the mute button is phase of podcasting.
I kind of feel like you have to speak for yourself there. I still double check mine every time.
Fair enough. But in all seriousness, it's been great hearing from leaders across AALL. And today's conversation is actually one I've been really looking forward to.
Same here. Today, we are joined by Dr. Joyce Gilbert, the Executive Director of AALL. Joyce brings such a dynamic and wide-ranging background from executive leadership to academia to entrepreneurship, association work, and even military service.
Basically, the kind of resume that makes you wonder what you've been doing with your time.
I know. And even more importantly, she really does bring a thoughtful and forward-looking perspective at a really important moment, I think, for AALL and for legal information professionals.
I second that, Katie. Joyce may have come from the world of nutrition and food service, but she is now helping AALL think about how we nourish the profession with trusted information, strong leadership, and hopefully no expired ideas left in the back of the refrigerator. Joyce, we're so glad you could join us today.
All right, Joyce, I'm going to have my Oprah moment here and get us started and ask, who is Dr. Joyce Gilbert? How would you like to introduce yourself to AALL membership?
Well, thank you both. It's nice to see you again, Katie, and it's nice to meet you, Andre. First off, just Joyce. That's what I prefer to be known as. I consider myself an empathetic servant leader that's very mission-centric and data-driven. I try to be as transparent as possible, and I do follow a life mission. So all my critical decisions are made predicated on that life mission, which is service to my country, service to my community, and service to my profession. I'm hoping that the skill sets from all of my varied experiences that I'm bringing forward for AALL are really the things that the board outlined during the interview process, which is governance, some digital transformation. Those are my terms, not theirs, but also some data repository and really building culture. And I build culture generally by creating spaces, and the spaces are really a safe and brave space.
Thank you, Joyce. And I love that. I think I'm going to borrow the first part. If you looked at my LinkedIn profile, my tagline is mission centered, data driven, but I love the empathetic servant leadership part, is that I try to serve the same way. We know your career spans across executive leadership, academia, entrepreneurship, association work, and military service, which is a remarkable range of things to do. And again, so very impressed. How have these experiences shaped the way you lead?
Well, I think when you have varied experiences that I've had the good fortune to have, it really builds a diverse kind of knowledge base and a diverse experiential base. And when you combine those two, that's really what builds your business acumen. And so not only are you building skill sets in each of those spaces, but you're also building the acumen that actually can translate out of one area and into another area. I thought you brought up a good point, Andre. Yes, I came out of, and my doctorate is in food science and human nutrition. But when you have a diverse background and you can build skill sets, those are transferable. And really what AALL board wanted in the new executive director was someone that could actually keep the operations going while the board was making critical decisions from a strategic perspective. And so those skill sets fit. And I think it was my diverse background that helped to be able to fit.
Thank you, Joyce. No, fit is very important. I think with both Katie and I having served on the L board, uh, I think we're very grateful and fortunate to have you and have someone with uh, a different skill set and a new perspective. And we're really excited to have you with our organization as well. So with that, I could segue into this question. What drew you to AALL and the legal information profession?
Well, as I said earlier, all of my critical decisions, especially professional ones, but also personal, are predicated on my life mission. And that also is the empathetic service kind of leadership that I have. And because of that and the type of member, I was drawn immediately to when I was brought in as the interim. It matched my life mission, and I really love the core values. I really like specifically the collaborative, the connection, leadership and influence, innovation, and also DE&I. What I really appreciated was the way the board actually took those core values and integrated them into the new strategic plan. And to me, those pillars are equally really speak volumes about what the direction is of this organization and why I wanted to be a part of it. When I look at the pillars, advocacy and empowerment, innovation, DE&I, pipeline to the profession, all associations are struggling with that. And then also the professional development component. I really was appreciative of all of that. I also have a strong desire to be active. And so advocacy and the advocacy initiatives that AALL is involved in really spoke volumes to me. I think privacy of law library users, access to legal information, access to justice, copyright. I actually am an author and an editor of a textbook, and copyright with AI is just really touches me also personally. So for those reasons, I not only wanted to be the interim, but put my hat in the ring to stay on.
And we're glad you did.
Oh, thank you.
So you were just actually touching on kind of that sort of outward looking and the advocacy work. And so I'm really interested in knowing, being somebody that has, joined sort of our professional information space, what is something that you wish that people from the outside knew about the legal information profession? If you could share something with them that you've learned.
Yes, I think the one thing that I've learned several things. One that really speaks volumes to me is the ability to translate complexity into clarity and the influence that has on legal and law education. And I've seen that day in and day out. And I really see not only that capability and the influence that has on the next generation of legal information professionals, but also it's done in a spirit of collaboration and insightfulness. And also I do this is something that it surprised me a little. It shouldn't have, but the amount of detail.
Yes.
when we put a board book together and it goes out in front for the drafts, it's amazing the amount of detail. I'm taken by it sometimes, but I'm also really appreciative of that fine eye of detail and really keeping us on task. And I love the social consciousness of our members. I and how accepting they are. And I think that's why DE&I is a pillar for the strategic plan and also a core value. But the one that's touched me the most is really the ability to translate that complex information and get it out into a way that's clear and concise.
Yeah, I feel like, Andre, especially the work, I mean, I think we all do that, but especially the work that you do, really I think you do that incredibly well in your space.
Thank you, thank you. And speaking of the detailedness of the board books, I remember being on my way to Chicago, reading those 200-page board books on the airplane.
No one's supposed to admit that we read them on the airplane. We're supposed to have read them
Oops.
earlier than that,
Oops.
not on the plane.
Sorry. Sorry. I was reviewing them on the plane.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes, we're
I
doing
was
the
reviewing the
for
board
pass
books.
on the airplane.
Yes.
The
reviewing
important part is that you actually read it. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think Katie, talked about what you wish more people knew, and outside of the detail and some of the things you just spoke about, has there been any surprises for you about the profession or the membership itself?
Yes. And I speak to a lot. I'm a part of several CEO roundtables or executive director roundtables, and everyone is really having difficulty with engagement. And what I've really noticed, and uh, I was surprised because what's going on in our environment now, and what keeps everybody busy and up at night and day to day, is it has not really affected the engagement of our volunteer leaders, and their engagement is high. To your point, Andre, they come to the board meetings prepared. They come to the committee meetings prepared. They have innovative ideas. They're thinking outside of the box. And I just, in this time and in this administrative life that we're living in, that's just surprising and also just amazing.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the collaborative part that you spoke of, but and the collegiality of the membership. I think for me, as we've been starting to prepare for the conference, which is
I don't know
less
anything
than
about
five weeks away,
5 weeks.
5 weeks away, and meeting with different people with the programs and stuff. There's a level of excitement and engagement that people have been bringing is it's refreshing, and it's contagious too. So that's one thing I love about our members as well. I'm gonna let Katie kind of
Yeah,
transition us.
yeah. So, all right, let's chat about sort of your transition and when you came in, because we were AALL was in a period of transition when you first came in. And so, what opportunities do you see for the association as it continues to grow and support the members, and then also responding to the changes, as you mentioned, sort of in the profession, and we have the pipeline issues and some of those things.
Yeah. Well, the board's doing tremendous work. I will say that. And when I came in as the interim, I was really brought in, and it was very clear that I was brought in to do change management.
Oh.
And so, really, what I was to do is to keep the lights on, so to speak. Keep operations running, work with the staff. And I can't say this enough. We have a tremendously amazing staff.
Yes,
Probably the
kudos.
most competent staff I've ever worked with, and just their ability and their service and the selflessness they have. But what I found is that, and the reason I wanted to stay on is I really lean more towards transition leadership, and it takes a longer time to do that. And so what I was finding is, although we have a brand new strategic plan, that plan wasn't aligned with the resources. So in essence, we had a budget that sat over here and a strategic plan that sat over here, but we weren't allocating resources toward the strategic plan. And so what we needed to do was to match the budget, which the staff had, we've just gotten through doing that. And that budget will go in front of the board in July at its meeting at the annual conference. But that alignment was important to me, and making sure that and during that alignment, you're not only looking at resources and making sure that you have the right resources allocated to the right priorities. The board does prioritize annually different strategies under those goals, but the ones that have been prioritized for this past year, there was no resources dedicated to them. So we wanted to be able to do that And the board wanted to do that. So that was one of our first steps. And while you're doing that, you also want to take the time and look at all your programs and services and make sure that they're aligned and that you are putting the right resources towards those processes so that you can actually allocate. So everything becomes aligned. Now you've got the right allocation to the right priorities in the right year, and that matches your budget. And that is an area of my expertise, and then also an area that I just love doing. And we're fortunate enough that we actually have staff that loves doing it too. And so we actually went through a budget period a little bit different than they had done in the past, where we had a budget, but we had to look at how we were allocating. Then we also had to be very specific about how we came up with that number, so that any one of us on the staff could look at that budget and know where that number came from. And that wasn't the case before, but that way that breaks down all the silos. So as you're looking at programs and services, everybody has to talk to everyone. And that was one of the things that I promised the board that I would do with the staff. One, empower them. Secondly, build a safe space and a brave space, and also build our culture. And our culture is, it's the culture I believe in. It's called family first. And so and then we build a safe and brave space.
It seems like transparency is also something that's incredibly, just as you were describing the budget. And for those people out there that are big fans of administrative law, I know I was suddenly thinking about like agencies who are defunded and still have to keep functioning. That's what it was making me think of.
100%.
You can never take the law librarian out.
One of the things that we're finding is for people that are attending. So we had people, early bird just ended for the annual conference, right? And so what we had is staff was reaching out to people that have attended conferences before, but have not quite registered, just to find out reasoning and to collect that data. And I'm very interested in creating a data repository at AALL. So was the board. And so we were finding the one of the main data points of them not being able to attend is funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, some of it's time, but that's all tied to funding, right? The time off. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And I've, been in the crosshairs of that, the budget and, just rolling off the board. But want to back up to the staff. Just as you mentioned, an amazing staff. I think that's
Amazing.
what I miss most about the being on the board is that you get a chance to get to know the amazing team of individuals. So kudos to the AALL staff for everything they do for this organization. So right now we're going to take a short break to hear from our episode sponsor, LexisNexis. We'll be right back.
Every great era of transformation has architects behind it. Today, information professionals are helping shape the next era of AI in legal organizations, guiding adoption, ensuring authority, and turning innovation into real impact. At LexisNexis, we're building AI solutions designed for that responsibility, combining trusted content, advanced technology, and tools like Protege to help you move your organization forward with confidence. We're proud to support AALL and the AALLIn podcast. Visit lexisnexis.com/community/infopro to explore resources built for leaders at the forefront of AI innovation. And connect with us at AALL this summer. LexisNexis, private, secure, authoritative legal AI.
So Joyce, I know you kind of talked about this, but I wanted to dive deeper. And as I was, thinking about, we were getting ready to have you on, and you talked about the transition leadership. You talked about the change management piece of it, and their work covers, all different sorts of priorities. You have advocacy, education, professional development, access to legal information, member connection, and the question I have, and again, this is near and dear to me, to being on the board. How do you work with the executive board to lay the groundwork for balancing all those priorities?
Well, one of the easy things I did is on the back of the name placards, when we're all sitting around the table, I put the vision and the mission.
Oh, I
So
love that.
whenever we get on a topic, because I said some people are more detailed than others, or if we get off a topic, we can always go back to the fact that we're here, we're mission centric. Is what our discussion or where our discussion is headed, is it still applying to our mission? And because it's very easy, because we have such broad interest as a board, it's very easy to get sidetracked into another area that may not be fit into not only the mission, but then the next level down is the strategic plan. And so we're constantly reminded of how to do that. And then also, one of the things that I've found is our members, any members, but our members really want to know that they're heard. And that's why we're doing the things that we're doing, which are these town halls that have been very, very successful, the meet and greets that we've been doing through our GRC. And what the purpose of those are is to listen and to hear what our members are, hear their voice. But the board's responsibility is not just to hear the voice, but it's to turn that information into actionable outcomes so that the membership can see in a very transparent way the work of the board and what that brings to the member value. And that's what we just keep. It's an ongoing. And what we've created, and this is kind of my approach to leadership, is we were in what was perceived, whether it was true or not. The perception of our membership was we were in a no but mentality. And my mentality and the board's mentality moving forward is yes and. And so when someone comes, we're saying yes, and it may not be exactly what they need. Well, good example with Flip, Katie, we went through it together.
Yeah.
It was a yes and experience and not a no but experience. And I think what that did is in getting that agreement together is going to make it much easier as we move forward with any of the SISs. And so I thought, and it's that mentality that the board has accepted and adopted that I think will move this board forward. And it will also, to the membership, be perceived as a yes and there'll be some very timely, I think timely is important as well. There were issues that have been sitting that had not been acted on, even though they really had been, the board was still discussing them. It still has to be actionable and it still has to be transparent so that the member can perceive it as action. And so I'm very proud of this board. It's a tremendous board.
Yeah, I love it. I love a shift in mindset and a shift perception versus reality. I think we encounter that, every one of us, we encounter that in our day to day, especially if you're leading any type of organization as well. So I loved how you framed that in the conversation. So your background, we talked about this, includes digital transformation, artificial intelligence policy, governance, compliance, and data-driven strategy. How do those experiences inform your leadership in the legal information profession?
Yeah, I said earlier, you build your skill sets through diversity, or at least that's how I've built mine. And utilizing that diversity and those skills to kind of formulate how you'll lead. And I said it just a little while ago, but yes and is a good way to lead. It also encompasses a safe and brave space. I define a safe space as everyone has a voice and everyone's voice should be heard. But the brave space is someone that's a little bit more difficult. And the way I define a brave space is you allow disruption, and you're allowing disruption because you're hoping it results in or leads into constructive conflict. And then from constructive conflict, you can bring a board and to consensus. But if you don't allow the brave space, then you're going to have individuals that are going to feel that even though you heard their voice, you didn't really hear their voice. And so I think that that's the type of leadership I like to bring forward. I also, as I said earlier, I think being in an executive director position is probably one part talking and three parts listening. And the more that you can get used to that, the better. I'm very comfortable, and I prefer to not be the face of an organization. I prefer to be the operational part. And it's perfect for me here because I'm not a content expert. In my former position, I was a content expert and the CEO and the president of the board. And I really felt this was a very good fit for me. I like being the listener, being the person that's trying to hear what those voices are saying, and then helping the board to make timely decisions that align with the mission and the strategic plan priorities in any particular year.
Joyce, I'm usually the one dropping the one-liners from constructive conflict to
I know
consensus.
she's got the
Yes,
one-liners.
yeah.
It's not you. I feel like you got the pen out and you're writing them down.
I do. I love it. From constructive conflict to consensus. That's pretty good. It's relative and it resonates with me. So
yeah, well, but before you can even do that, you've got to build trust within their members.
Exactly.
And within the board members themselves too. And we had a really good board retreat right before our April meeting to do just that, to try to rebuild or build trust, build that whole yes and mentality, a culture of we're okay with disruption as long as it's done respectfully.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on this concept of disruption because I think we are, we've talked about sort of information profession and law librarianship and being in this period of transition. And I think with one of the big disruptors for us right now is sort of these emerging technologies and how are we facing them and how do we work with them. And episode 1, we spent an entire episode talking about generative AI.
It was a very good episode.
Oh, thanks. But, I would love to know sort of your take on right now. We've got obviously these emerging technologies and everything that's happening. And so how can AALL position itself as really the go-to organization for being trusted guidance and providing the education and sort of the leadership in this area when maybe people don't always think of us in that space?
Yeah, you're so right, Katie. I actually joined the AI caucus this past week. And the reason I was joining is that we're partnering with an organization that's doing a survey. And we want to get that survey out, but we also want the data as part of our data repository. And what that survey is looking at is how do people best learn AI and utilize it? And really, can people use AI to learn AI? And I think that that's kind of an interesting concept for me. But as that survey goes out, we'll be able to have the collective data because we've partnered with them. And I wanted to see if the AI caucus would be willing to help us analyze the data, of course. And then on another side, we are actually putting together an AI summit, and that summit will happen in the fall. And once again, we're now soliciting people to put in for presentations, and with the help of the AI caucus. And I think one of the things that June said that really spoke to me, June and Emily, they're the co-chairs of the caucus, is that everyone seems to think, and I'm paraphrasing, everyone seems to think, which you have to do with June. No, I'm just kidding. But what it seems that people feel that librarians should be threatened by AI, that AI can do things that librarians do, which we know is totally not true. I mean, it can do some things, but it can't do cognitive things. It can't connect dots, and it can't do some of the things. And I really felt that June expressed that really well. We should embrace it, and we should demonstrate that we not only understand it, we can teach you how to use it in the context that's best for what you need at that particular time. And then we can help you connect the dots to get to that right answer at the end of the day. And that's going to be the main focus of the summit, is to look at it that way through case studies, through case utilization, and how people are utilizing it now. And I think that's going to be just an amazing summit. And it's going to be over 2 days, but they're not going to be consecutive, so we hope that will really help to draw people in. And it will be virtual.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it as well.
Check that out.
But I not to steal June's thunder, but I agree with her. I do believe with all the different platforms, AI platforms, to be able to weed through which one do you need, which one is good for this, which one is good for that, but still understanding that you're going to need that librarian to take that complex information and make it clear. And that's something that AI cannot do.
And even simply just figuring out how to integrate it within the workflow itself.
100%.
So many conversations I had with people that don't even know how to do just that simple process that a librarian can help you, because they can help with the knowledge management side of it. Yeah. And I'm sure that even though you were talking about it in the context of the summit, I am quite certain this summer at the annual meeting, we're going to have maybe a couple of things that will talk to us about generative AI.
Yes.
Let's talk about the conference.
Yeah. And just to that point, Katie,
we
did listen to the evaluations that came from last year, and also the committee that puts it together, AMPC committee, all these acronyms I'm learning.
Totally fair.
I want to get it correct. They realized that there might be a little fatigue on the AI side. And so we didn't, they were conscientious about the selections. A lot of them came in, but we also realized that there's other things that needed to come forward and be addressed at in the conference.
Yeah, our second episode, we did have Jenny come on, and the chair, Kelly.
That was a good one too.
AMPC. Yeah, and
I'm sorry I don't have that level of energy.
No, that's okay. It was the balancing act of in more detail from how it was, this year. So if people want to learn more about that process, come on back.
And don't feel bad. Nobody has Jenny's amount of energy. So don't feel
I don't even have Jenny.
Gotta love it.
But all right, back to the annual meeting. I do have a question for you. So what are you most looking forward to as you prepare to connect with our members in person, right? I know we started this, you and I were chatting a little bit before, and you said, you've met a lot of members, but you've met them, in the box of the virtual conversations.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having one-on-one conversations and time with our members and learning. A few of us from staff were able. Our new partner for us is Legal Geek, and they just had their Legal Geek North America was here in Chicago, and Heather and Chris and I went, and just to look at a different format of what we might be able to offer. Maybe a little bit of a different format for our own annual conference, but also just to get, and some of our members were there. And then one of our members, Eugene, actually helped to be a moderator for one of the roundtables and just did a marvelous job. And I'm looking forward to that, just listening to that peer-to-peer exchange of listening to our members really teach and engage one another in what they do day to day, and how they can learn from one another. I'm intrigued by it, and I think I'm excited to meet people and to the people I've met the most have been the board, because I've been to 3 board meetings, and just other members and committee members that I'm working with. Very looking forward to it.
That's exciting. The mayor of Chicago, Eugene J.
And to his merit, on a very short notice. Legal Geek came to us very short notice and gave us very little time, and he volunteered and put it together and did a marvelous job. And it was very well attended.
Yeah, no, I've been on a number of committees with Eugene. He always has great ideas.
He does. I ate lunch with him beforehand, and he has more ideas.
I love it.
I love it. I do. I love it.
Yes. As Katie mentioned, we did talk to the energetic Jenny and Kelly, which was awesome. Yeah, chair of AMPC. Kelly was amazing, and it was my opportunity to get a chance I had met Kelly at a conference, but to get to speak to her, and I think that's the great thing about the conference, is that you get a little more intimate, build intimate relationships with people that you typically see inside the boxes, virtually as well. and that's going to be super exciting. But for me, I wanted to get your perspective on if there's someone who's still deciding whether or not to attend. What would you say about the value? And I think you kind of spoke to this of being in the room with colleagues, peers, vendors, speakers, and leaders from across the profession. That in person part, because I think it's going to be a first for you. What would you tell somebody who's on the fence about attending?
Yeah, just that. And we hear it. We've heard it in the evaluations. It's the number one thing that rises to the top after the quality of the education is the networking.
Mhm.
And how you can learn. And that peer-to-peer networking is more difficult to do in a box, as Katie said. It's much easier to do in a round table or to listen to a panel and interact. Much easier. And I think that they would be missing that dynamic. I'm not saying virtual training doesn't work; it does, but I think that and also, sometimes it's really hard to separate when you're in your own office and you're learning virtually. You're still thinking about something over here that's
Yeah.
somebody's either dinging you on your computer or your phone's ringing or someone's knocking on your door or walking past. All of those things that are distractors. And sometimes you can shut that part down and you really can engage at a different level. And that's what I would tell them. The engagement is it increases your engagement and it gives you maybe that respite from that day to day and while you're learning things that will help you in your day to day.
Yeah, I think really being present matters. And I know the AALL Leadership Academy was recently where I was, of course, I research everybody. So I was just looking on the page to try to find out more things about you outside your bio. And I saw that you had spoke to the group at the Leadership Academy. And I remember in 2020, of course, the pandemic year, that was the year I was in the Leadership Academy. Uh, and I had attended the Management Institute, and I mean, it was and the great thing. And I'll plug the Leadership Academy. The mentor I got, I still have conversations with my mentor every month. So the AALL Leadership Academy, maybe 2 years away, but plugging it here
Thank you.
was great and awesome. But I think that virtual experience was good, and we had to pivot to that due to the pandemic. But being in person, being present, is very important. So I absolutely 100%
Yeah.
agree with you.
Interesting you should say about the mentors. We're up to 167
Oh,
mentor
that's awesome.
pairs now.
That's
And from the leadership academy, the interesting thing for me for that is the evaluations. So 97% of the attendees rated it as excellent or good. So that tells you the caliber that the staff put together for that, along with the facilitator. And just when I was over there, and the first day I was asked to kick it off, and I got a chance to meet some of them. And the second day, I brought the whole staff over because it's so much better to meet someone when you're having to deal with them all the time.
Mhm.
And so I think we got a lot of, and the staff felt the same way. And it's nice to see the next generation of leadership as well.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, I
Yeah.
know we had a great conversation today. I think and I was, as I said, I was really looking forward to meeting you. I've heard nothing but great things about you as well that have been reaffirmed today. So I think to our listeners on the All In, hey y'all, I'm bringing back a y'all for this episode. Who's on the fence about getting more involved, whether that's attending the conference, volunteering, or just engaging more with the community. Now is a great time to step in. We have a great board in place. We have a great new great executive director. We have a great staff. I think we've established that today. So now is a great time to step in, become more active, and please, if you can and have the ability to attend the conference. conference as well.
100% agree with everything that Andre has just said. And also come on back. Next month we're going to have our podcast number 4, and you'll have to wait and see what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it is. And please, reach out to us if you have ideas. I had the opportunity to go to SEAL, which is the chapter meeting of the Southeast. Katie's very familiar with SEAL,
Yes.
her neck of the woods, and got great feedback about the podcast. But yeah, please reach out to Katie and I if you have ideas. We would love to, continue to have conversations like this, highlighting people, perspectives, and ideas that move AALL forward.
Well, I know I'm speaking certainly for the staff, but I'm also, I think, speaking for the board. We couldn't have picked 2 better hosts.
Aw,
Thank
that's
you.
so sweet. Thank you.
You've done just a marvelous job. And as I said earlier, before we got on, you all sound like you've been doing this for years together. And it's a very nice plus so I'm very grateful to both of you.
He's very good at wrangling me.
Katie Wrangler, that's one of my new handles. We're grateful for the opportunity.
We have a blast. Thank you so much again for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.